Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in a storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you like us. We are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in a storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you like us. We are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Even when you fall, sticks and stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you like us. You are the king, you are the queen. You will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in a storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground of the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you like us. We are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to
What is going on, governors? Chiscool here, and today we're casting Arc of Osiris League. We are in the semifinals, Song versus JST. I will be joined momentarily by Dragothian to cast this legendary matchup with you because both of these teams are powerhouses in their own rights with different strengths that they're going to bring to this match. And I am eager to see which strategy will ultimately unfold. But to talk about the strategy of this matchup and to recap a little bit what happened earlier in League, let's jump to the dual cast and bring in Dragothian to discuss this with us. Drago, man. You were casting earlier today. It was a heck of a matchup between BG and 1V. I mean, to summarize for folks that are just tuning in, kind of what went down in that matchup and what things can we learn from that and be on the lookout for in this Song versus JST matchup that maybe will help sway it one way or another.
So first off, thanks. I'm always glad to be here with you, Chisco, and thank you all to the chat for being here, and looking forward to casting this with you all. So to answer your question, first off, 1V really dominated the mid game. Absolutely dominated the mid game.
Yeah, that's what they do, man.
It was a clinic on wiping everything off the map in the mid, and did enough in the structure game. In fact, I believe they won by almost 3,000 or 4,000 points on the structure game too. So they captured all three arcs that were visible on the map for that match, and won by, like I said, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 points on the structure game. BG did a great job of the structure game too, but just kept going back to the middle, trying to get at least one of those arcs. And if they had, actually, they may have had enough to get it done. But that was a big if, like you said.
It's the big if. I mean, having actually played myself against 1V, right? That you're not beating their mid game, so you have to find some other way. And if you're gonna contest them for mid, I mean, you better test the waters in the first one or two arcs. But by the time the last couple roll around, I mean, you'll know if you can actually hang with them or not. And I think most teams truly cannot. So
it was tough. And I will say too, I did reference this match that we're about to cast and view in that match because 1V's strategy is very similar to a JST or even a Song. I think there's just different variations of flavor from all three of these teams. So whoever ends up winning this matchup between Song and JST going to face in the finals, that 3-match finals that I'm looking forward to. I know you are as well. It's going to be a strategy that is roughly the same, but there's different little specialities that each one of these teams does more exceptionally well than the other. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to be facing 1V in the final. And I mean, we've got a prior champion with JST versus Song, want to be their first champion. So, I mean, these guys are hungry. I know they are. And JST always loves to defend their title. So I'm looking forward to this for sure.
Yeah, I mean, JST, former champion, Song, having eliminated my team last week, I can speak to their strengths and I can speak to their weaknesses. And I can say that the building game is definitely one of their strengths for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out against JST, who I think probably has a stronger mid-game between the two of these teams. But JST, the former champions, to underestimate them would be, I think, a catastrophic error. And if we just look at where people had been placing their Oryx, I can just kind of pull this up in-game and see here. It was not exactly evenly split. However, it's about, let's say 60-40, maybe 75-25. So the majority do think JST is going to be the winner here, and you can't blame them for putting Oryx on the former champion. And Song, well, I mean, they've been far in League before. So now the question is, can they secure the win? And this has to be far and away the toughest division to be playing in. The competition is fierce. The quality of the players, I think, is second to none. And that is largely because, the more time you've been playing the game, the better you get at playing the game, the better your collection becomes. So these teams are stacked, man, with high VIP players, with a lot of commander depth. And I just know that in that earlier matchup, that BG 1v matchup, that like the 1v team is an Osiris, like they are an Osiris kingdom. Like they make no mistake. They are born and bred to go win Osiris, and that's what they do. And that's not to say they don't play KVK. In fact, I am in KVK right now with JST. You know, JST, the team playing, like the name right over, Drago's head, like right over there, right? Like I am in KVK with them right now. And I can tell you that it was possible. It was very, very, very conceivable that entering into this matchup today, JST would be severely hindered by virtue of fighting in KVK. It was entirely possible that their rosters would be decimated from heavy fighting, and that just did not happen. So they are basically full strength coming into this matchup. Song really had like a possibility of a true out there, and a true edge that they might not have been able to get any other way by virtue of JST fighting in KVK. Because my understanding is that JST will pull no punches. They want to win League, but I don't think they're pulling a KVK punch to go win League. So, I mean, they would have done whatever they needed to do to win KVK and also to do well in League. And, well, they haven't had to sacrifice yet in order to progress for League. And I don't think even for the finals, the next pass opening will happen such that they will lose more troops. So they got what they need to go all the way if they are able to win this matchup. So let's jump into the game real quick. We'll get a look at the actual ladder itself and sort of how things have settled out in the last couple matches, maybe a few scoreboards, and then we can jump into the match, which begins in actually just a couple minutes. So let's go now in game to the schedule, which I've got pulled up. Let's go. Okay, here we are. The championship match is next week. We know that 1v will be on one side of this match, and this match determines who's on the other side. Now, it is a best 2 out of 3. I realize now I was saying that there's no amount of troops that JST will need to lose between now and their finals, but actually, by the time round 3 shows up, they could have some fierce losses potentially. I'll have to get a closer look at the schedule of when things are unfolding. That could actually get a little bit dicey. They may have some choices to make there. Cruising back to see the journey that Song and JST have been on so far. Song beat OV, former Osiris League champions. They beat TR, and that is my alliance. That's how they made it to the semifinals. A very strong team, very well-rounded, but I would say probably stronger at buildings. That is their strong suit. The JST route has been by beating PX34, then Peak, and here we are in the semifinals. So these matches, by the way, if we just look at the scores, none of them are exactly a blowout for JST, although they have had a higher margin of victory than Song has had in their previous matchups. Now, I know that's like not really an indicator, and we try to read the tea leaves wherever we can. But what do you think the point spread is going to be in this matchup, Drago? This is a fun thing we've been doing every week. The point spread.
You always ask me this.
You pick the number, and you pick over or under, and then I'll take the other side of it.
You know, I think this thing's going to be won by arcs first off. So
both
of these games are really strong on structures and provisioning. I think Song may actually have a little bit of an edge. But arcs, I think, are going to win this. So I'm thinking it's still going to be a very close match, just like it was last week for Song, where they kind of just won in the last minute of the match. But I'm thinking 4K is probably the over/under. I'm going to get it a little tighter this time, not 7K like the last couple weeks.
You going over or under?
I'm going under.
Oh, I'll go over.
Under.
Okay, I'll go over. And who do you think is going to win? Is it Song or is it JST?
Oh my God! You're going to ask me that?
I'm going to ask you that.
Oh man, this is so tough. This matchup is so tough to predict. JST, prior champion, just absolutely dominant on every phase of the game, but Song has just looked so good these last few weeks in the playoffs. I don't know. Man, you're gonna put me to it.
I'm gonna put you to it. Pick.
I'm I'm gonna go
You
song
must
by a
pick.
smidge. Song by a smidge.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go JST.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think JST is going to win. And I'm saying I think they're going to win by more than 4,000 points. And Drago is thinking that Song is going to win. And they're going to win by less than 4,000 points. Let's go. The key combatants now on the screen as we enter into this Ark of Osiris League semifinals matchup. Song in blue, JST in red. Powerhouse teams. Any team from this point forward could go all the way. However, in the finals, it will be best 2 out of 3, so there's room to adapt and adjust. The key combatants on the screen now for Song. Provision score looking mighty high there. 12,864 is a little bit ridiculous. And on the opposing side, highest provision score, 7,436. This is going to be a really great matchup to spectate. The journey, the road to the championship for Song on display. Victories all the way to the top. And the road to the championship for JST also. Victories all the way up. Not a loss to be found. Very tough teams. Here we go.
You know, I want to say first as well. So you just highlighted the provisioner score. 2-1. 2-1 on the provisions for Song. You know, you can't call them farmers people. You got to call them provisioners. Because it takes skill. It's not like, you know, just sending out your farms and leave for the next hour. This is something that does take some skill to do, and gear as well. I mean, you need to properly gear your gathering commanders for this phase of the game. And Song heavily investing in provisioning. I don't think for a second that we won't see Insatiable Desire being used on the Song side for sure. JST known to do that as well. I mean, there's just so many different things that I'm looking forward to seeing in this matchup. Song always keeps it close, man. Song always keeps it close. And again, just like last week facing, you know, TR was down by 2,000 points with a minute and a half left, and magically they win by 1,500 points before the end of the match is over. So I mean, you have to stay until the very end.
Yes. It comes down to the wire. Teams make choices about provisioning more, less, to obtain objectives. And here we go. The match begins. Off to the races, looking to see where those rallies are headed. Typically, we've been seeing a bit more outpost rallies than I would have expected so far, and there they are. The rallies are on the board for outposts. We've discussed ad nauseum why it is that there's disadvantages to rallying an outpost. Namely, the fact that there's a 500,000 capacity on an outpost, which means if you're using a maximum expansion, that's 330,000 troops, and then the second march has much less than 330,000 troops. Well, why would you leave your starting area with less troops? There is a strategy behind taking out those outposts, and I'm very eager to see how this is ultimately going to unfold. Hard push being activated. Drago, did you catch which team activated that?
That was Song for sure, and
Okay.
definitely hasn't been used yet on the JST side. And I have seen them foregoing that in favor of having some extra skill points.
Oh, there it
for
is,
the middle.
though.
This time, though,
They used it.
not.
I actually love foregoing hard push in favor of skill points as long as they're well deployed. But both teams have used it. Now, this is significant because it does lower the capture time by a minute for the obelisk, as shown on screen. And also, your rally marches faster. And these teams are, of course, rallying their own obelisks in order to get there first. You know, I think the thing that's sort of exciting is when one team has used hard push and the other hasn't. With a sufficiently fast rally, you can actually contend an obelisk. But since both teams have deployed this skill, I don't think that's going to be a viable path, which means, Drago, we're in for a fair fight for the altars now.
We're definitely in for an even fight. I don't know if it's going to be fair. These guys are going to try and gouge some eyes, especially once we start getting towards that mid-fight. Something cool to look at as I was just kind of watching the map unfold during the early game is both of the farthest obelisks for both teams captured at exactly the same. I mean, it was literally identical. Both lit up their respective color. And speaking of the outpost stuff, we have JST with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rallies up. Conversely, half that for Song on the blue team. So Song really trying to make sure that they're keeping themselves together. JST trying to spread the game out a little bit and really focusing on the next step of the evolution of this game, which is likely to be heavy desert altar fights.
Yeah. The thing I've been sort of doing as you were describing all that, Trigo, is just getting a look at the caravans, and you can get a little sneak peek at where they are deploying their marches, and it does look like Song might be using the same tactic they used against us in TR, which is to bring heavy cavalry reinforcements down to the obelisk in the hopes that with the rally in tow, they can bring a lot of forces over here to hit the obelisk and maybe capture it. And an early obelisk is massively disruptive. In fact, without going too much into the last game, where there was an obelisk capture, I'm going to make the argument that almost no matter what, if you take one of these obelisks for any amount of time, you should have a high power player poured in and bully out the lower power players that cannot sustain a 5-march swarm from a higher power player. But here we go. Reinforcements are on their way from JST toward this obelisk. Big Song presence moving in. Rally on the way. XY primary on its way in, and that's got to be a Nevsky secondary because obviously Nevsky is God tier. So here comes the rally on the obelisk, and is JST prepared? I like attacks like this, even though I think they're unlikely to be successful because they ask a question. Can you handle this? And if you can't, I might just win the match. You probably are ready, but if you aren't, it's GG. So here it is, and it looks like JST might not be ready. That thing is dropping really fast, shockingly fast, down to the yellow, swarm in now on the rally. This might be the only way that they can handle this immense pressure from Song. However, rally reinforcements are all just kind of sitting here, and they canceled the rally. I find that somewhat surprising. I guess they see that they aren't going to take it, and they bail out from the operation. Where do they go next is kind of curious, and I am surprised so many of these marches seem to be just chilling.
Chiz, we identified it because they did this exact same play on the match last week versus TR, and the idea is here. Look at the Song marches; they're still sitting there.
I see what they're doing now.
Block, teleports.
Yeah, they're blocking teleports.
A huge value. It worked very, very well last week in their match, and look at that. Look at the desert altar itself right above it. Look how much more solid that Song group looks versus reinforcements that are coming from the base versus reinforcements that are coming from the obelisk. This is a huge deal. Now, they did get their desert altar, did JST, and so did they take the Song desert altar as well. So they're looking very strong here right off the outset, JST is. And let's see if they can hold those structures while also, by the way, trying to do a little rally on the Song obelisk on the top lane too. This could get dicey for Song very early on, but very solid strategy as well. I like it.
Yeah, really good aggression here on both sides. JST rally in on the Song obelisk. Song obelisk under some pressure here, but not enough that it'll be captured. So we can look to other places here. There was a little bit of a delay getting the Shrine of Life for Song, but they do have that now, fully uncontested. And the double altar snag when those opened is definitely a big advantage for JST, but I don't think they'll be able to hold certainly the north altar long enough to get the first capture points, over 700 points available in that first capture. In fact, it's 750 for that first occupation. If you can hold it just long enough, which they could not, but it's still good disruption. And their own desert altar now secured. It's a nice opening, I think, for JST in the grand scheme of things, although I will say that no one side really has a dominant position here. With 6 minutes till arc, I'm going to say it's all about this first arc, baby. And I will observe that we see some classic Song outpost aggression. I would say if there's any one signature move that they seem to have pretty well figured out, it's this, what you're seeing on the screen right here. These outposts are likely to be blue for a large portion of the game, and defending them is so difficult that perhaps the best option is not defense, but a good offense.
That's correct. And like you said, everything's kind of evening out right now. Everybody's had their nice little push. All the defensive structures for both sides are basically secure. A couple are still blinking, but there's enough defense at the majority of them, at least, that Shrine of War on the top lane looks a little a little suspect, but it still looks like it's okay. But everybody's kind of evening out. Now, like you said, though, 3 outposts in blue that are supposed to be red on the JST side, that will continue to happen throughout the match. That is a signature Song move. Most teams are doing this now, but Song really has it down to a science and does commit quite a bit to doing that. Points per minute wise, Song up by 90 points per minute right now. But that will change 24 seconds until their own Desert Altar on the top lane starts finally ticking points for them and actually generating that 750 first capture point total as well. So that will knot everything up for the most part. Song will have a little bit of an edge going into this next mid fight with probably about 110 or so points per minute advantage at the moment, with these outposts already starting to flip around and Desert Altar on the bottom lane going down.
I will say, Song is very predictably following the same strategy they used last week.
I mean, if it works,
they're moving in heavy on buildings right when it's time to go to the arc, and this is not new. This is the plan they've been using, and they're executing it yet again. And they're executing it very cleanly. I mean, that was a easy capture in the grand scheme of things for that Desert Altar, which leaves JST now scrambling to swarm it back. But there was almost no troop loss for the attackers here from Song, which means they are able to defend this really well. And what a tragedy that they have done such a good job taking this building, but couldn't manage to get a captain here to properly defend it.
You know, the Desert Altar goes down for Song, or in favor of Song, of JST, but JST a little bit of a counterpunch. Xeno Garrison on the obelisk on the bottom lane.
Oh, this is it, Drago. This is what I want to see. This is it right here. In 15 seconds, I want to see some chunky JST players with hundreds of millions of power pop in there and start swarming down the lower power players. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see them swarming this obelisk all match long, disrupting the flow of teleports for this team. Because look, you may think, oh, I don't know. Oh, there it is. There it is. JST knows 197 million power. They are here to disrupt. And look, even if it's just this one player, baby, he can do so much damage to this back line. This is going to be, I assume, a disaster for Song. And we'll see exactly how much of a disaster it is, but we need to look in the mid-fight, where the teams are posturing with 2 minutes and 22 seconds until Arc spawns. This brawl could break out literally at any moment. And I do think Song actually might have the bigger presence here. JST is still coming to middle. Song still coming to middle. The map looking in favor of Song here, with the exception of that one disruption of teleports, which is a big deal. By the way, that did award JST more teleports, I believe. So they could
2 more.
Instantly get a bunch more teleports. So that's actually like very, very, very advantageous for JST, even though it may not look like it yet.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Stay on the mid fight here. I want to catch you up on what's going on across the map. JST just now losing the rally that they also had on the Song obelisk on the top lane. That was also a little bit wavy back and forth until Song decided to commit and swarm that rally down. It was kind of in favor of the rally there for just a bit. You know, Song also held that Desert Altar on the bottom lane of JST for quite some time. It is now currently garrisoned by a Caesar march, and it is now getting swarmed down again by 2 marches. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. There's plenty of troops inside. The map will be relatively even, with the exception of maybe some outpost harass by Song and probably by JST as well. Now, the JST rally on the Shrine of War on bottom lane does look kind of good, but Song is doing a great job of reinforcing. This middle fight is about to get started.
Boom! Look at the coordination. In a blink of an eye, every JST march moving in. Bog Down activated by Song. 30% defense reduction and a little bit of a march speed reduction there. I'm more interested in the defense reduction personally, and surprised they used that skill. And where are the skills from JST? Did I miss it?
I see War Drums on
Song,
and I see the Bog Down being used, but I don't see any other buffs being used from JST. Not a one.
Did JST forget their mid-fight buffs, or?
I doubt it.
What's going on here, Drago? This is really weird.
I mean, they're down by 1,100, 1,200 points right now. They're going to be generating a little bit more faster, that Alliance skill bar. But I mean, I'm looking right now. Song Song has marches going back. JST has marches going back. But this looks to be a Song mid.
It looks to be a Song mid, and there it is. The trap is sprung. Relentless siege. You thought we were going for arcs. In fact, we're here for buildings. And you know that that's by design because they didn't use a skill in the mid brawl. I mean, they just didn't, and they get the arc anyways. JST is on the run. Now, where is that carrier?
Period of time, but
nowhere to be seen. Melted.
Short period of time.
Because this is a Song-dominated arc, and you would expect it to be with 5 points deployed. That is a massive commitment, and honestly, like an on-point, I would say average level of commitment from Song, but relative to what was used by JST, JST committed literally no points to this mid-fight. And so now the question becomes, can they capitalize with all the other placements that they get? And I just don't know, man. This is a very, very, very bold play. Double C captain now at the Sky Altar makes me a little bit sad. Wish there was a proper captain in there or literally anything besides a double C. They've gone through this effort of getting the Sky Altar, which is amazing, but where is the captain?
Yeah, no captain there. I will say the Desert Altar was looking very, very suspect as well. Doing an okay job kind of holding firm there, but it is still a little bit on the waiver wire there. Shrine of Life getting taken back against what was taken by JST in the top lane as well. But 3 altars right now in favor of JST, and with 9 seconds until this Sky Altar on the bottom lane gets captured, I mean, this is looking fairly good from a points per minute standpoint for JST, which is not something that Song is used to. They're used to having the points per minute advantage, but right now it's almost 400 points per minute in favor of JST. That will help negate this 3,000 point initial arc being captured by Song. And it's not over until it's over. Certainly we have to always, with this tier of playing, these alliances that are playing at this tier and this level of the game, you can never say it's captured until it's captured, but it's looking like Song will have a slight points advantage going into the second arc that will spawn, assuming that they decide to capture it. And maybe they won't. We'll have to see if they end up holding this thing or if they decide they want to go ahead and capture it. We'll have to figure it out.
You know, I've kept us glued onto the Sky Altar because of how exceptional the JST reinforcements have been. They got the Jad in, and they keep bringing troops downfield to the point that Song had the launcher rally, and that rally is now going to connect, but it's an archer rally. I have mixed feelings about launching an archer rally onto cavalry, but sometimes you just have to send what you have. You don't always have the luxury of holding back the perfect rally counter for what you think is in the garrison, and JST is actually going to swarm the rally. Now, I find that somewhat surprising because they can't get troops back here very quickly, but they must feel like the pressure that a rally threatens is so great that it must be dealt with immediately, and that rally just popped.
I mean, they need their points. That's what I'm saying. Song is not used to being at a points disadvantage, points per minute, I should say, not points in general. Points per minute at disadvantage. Song is used to having those 100, 200, 300 points per minute advantages throughout the entire match. So again, that's why this match is going to be so down to the wire and so critical to watch each piece as it unfolds, because JST is not going to just sit here and let that happen. They have the capability to make sure that it doesn't. And even though JST really kind of was on the back foot with that rally coming in and heavy swarm, they've now got solid reinforcements on this Sky Altar, and it doesn't look like they're going to get dislodged anytime soon.
I've got mixed feelings about what just happened here. JST actually took down the carrier and picked up the arc, and the reason this really concerns me is that when you pick it up like this, it actually resets the 15-minute timer by which the Arc of Osiris will reset back to middle. So this is weird because this will either extend the duration by which Song can hold the Arc, or maybe by some stroke of genius, JST will bring this Arc back to safety, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
Man, JST does such a great job of reinforcing on the forward front. It's absolutely incredible to watch. I'm seeing all these double C marches with Cav, just continue to pour in, and Song taking a lot longer than I know that they want to get this Sky Altar on the bottom lane back. That's going to force them to maybe hold on to the arc a little longer than they might have wanted to as well. And JST continuing to pour towards where the arc is at right now. Like I said earlier, this is by no means captured 100% at this level of the game. There's always moves like this that JST is doing right now. They've got enough to at least disrupt for another 3, 4, 5 minutes. And again, that may throw Song's strategy off to the point where the timing doesn't line up, and Song does do some good timing plays.
Song has the arc.
All 4 altars.
I feel
JST,
like this
by the way,
is pretty securely in the hands of Song, but the JST pressure here is
Strong.
actually fairly shocking with its effectiveness.
Mm-hmm.
This carrier is going to fall once again, and despite being so close to being able to score this arc, the JST contention is so strong that the arc is just staying right here, man.
I mean,
Now,
4 altars for JST right now, just cool. I mean, this points per minute total is getting out of hand. Almost 600 points per minute in favor of JST at this point. This arc is basically nullified.
yeah. I mean, as you say that, one of them is captured back by Song, so they were able to get that altar that we were watching very closely earlier, and it does seem like now there's a full cleanup over here, or is there? I don't know if the pressure onto that carrier was an intention to distract from this desert altar so it could rack up some points, or if these folks are now mustering to make a push onto the arc itself. But either way, it's important to again highlight that this could very easily be a 2-arc game. But okay, now we see the carrier on the move again, Song, with a 13-minute and 40-second timer until that arc would reset to middle. Very interesting.
Yeah, JST doing a fantastic job on the structure game, being where they need to be, take what they need to take, keep as much as they can. I mean, they held that Sky Altar in the bottom lane just goal for a good 5-6 minutes, generating points. That's almost 1,000 points just from that one structure alone. And then they also ended up taking the Desert Altar on the top lane, which they've now held as well for 3-4 minutes already. So I mean, they're just grabbing points wherever they can, doing a great job. And again, the points per minute total is just heavily in favor of JST. Song never looks to be this down points per minute wise. This is definitely something they're not used to, at least recently. And I look to see how they adjust to this, because they're going to need to get their Desert Altar back on the top lane. They need to figure out what they're going to do with the arc, because it's still kind of sitting on the ground. It just got dropped again by JST. JST continuing to delay.
How do they keep getting players in there is insane.
Double C.
Looks like they might have had a rally on a city that got canceled.
I'm not sure if that's what they did. I didn't see the rally. It could have definitely been. That's definitely a play that we've seen done in the past. But I mean, it's double C marches leading. So I mean, I imagine they're probably just fast from where the Desert Altar is being defended. This will eventually go down in favor of Song. But wow, what a disruption from JST, doing a great job nullifying the majority of this arc. 1,500 point favor right now for JST, with another 300 points, roughly 270 points per minute in favor of JST as well. This is definitely looking like basically an even matchup right now, points wise and structure game wise. JST is doing the work against Song. Song is not used to this.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The score is evening up here. And when I say evening up, I mean, after this arc is scored, Song is going to shoot up in points, but it may just be the thing that ties the score rather than gives them edge, if this continues anyways.
I mean, Sky Altar down again on the bottom lane for JST. JST taking the Song Sky Altar bottom lane, and let's see if they have a Jadwiga coming up. I don't see any Jadwigas coming up right now. It's mostly just field reinforcements. See if I find it. I see a Nevsky. I see an XY. Jadwiga, there we go, by the pyramid, just east of the Sky Altar, doing her best to, looks like caravan hop over there. That's the right play to do. There's already a Jadwiga in the garrison as well. She's got a backup as well. Oh my goodness. Sky Altars again, all 4 in favor of JST, doing exactly what they need to do to make sure that they continue to press the initiative forward. Wow.
This was the advantage of Relentless Siege. The ability that is designed for building capture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 50%.
I mean, this is
counterattack damage.
This is not even an improvisation. This is all according to plan, actually.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. Song getting
Okay.
back 2 of their altars top lane, but don't have 2 of the altars on the bottom. So right now it's even-ish. Points per minute again in favor of JST by about 140 points per minute, 240 points per minute, excuse me. So continuing to rack up those points per minute is JST, continuing to disrupt the point flow for Song as well, and Song holding the arc right now.
Yeah, Song is in kind of a weird spot. So they use more points in the mid brawl. So they're trying to save up points right now by not scoring the arc. But by not scoring the arc and not getting their buildings back, JST is really continuing to kind of close the gap here.
Yep. Keeping the pressure up. I will say again, Song is now generating more alliance skill points than JST because they are behind. It is an 1,800 point game right now in favor. Oh, now it's 1,500 points in favor of. I'm sorry, 2,200 points in favor of JST at the moment. Now they're trying to get their Sky Altar back on the bottom lane, Chisco. I think that if they can get that Sky Altar back, they'll capture the arc. They're gonna need 2 or 3 arcs to I think win this.
I don't, you know what I want to do? As soon as this contention is done, you know what I want to get a peek at? What is that player doing, Drago, that ported in the back line?
Oh,
200 million power?
he's just sitting
What
there.
are they doing right now?
He's down 10 million power.
Only?
He is just sitting here. But I mean, his marches are likely on the field somewhere.
Okay.
I'd imagine.
I mean,
he's
he
probably
could walk over to the Sky
JST.
Altar, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. I
It's
think
his
he's actually
closest
here to
structure.
reinforce. Yeah,
Send all 5 to the Sky Altar. Why
Yep.
not?
yeah. Just keep on swapping out the reinforcements.
Oh
That's what I would
my
do.
gosh.
I mean, he's a big player. Don't get me wrong. He can definitely cause some damage. There's 100 mil, 112 mil, 150 mil, 93 mil, 136 mil, 115 mil, 100 mil, and 200. I mean, these guys are no small potatoes either that are over here. There's a few, that are maybe swarmable, but you're going to lose a lot of marches there. Here he comes with an Ethelfled, by the way. Looking to maybe reinforce. I'm not quite sure, but that Xeno's looking like it's about to go down with that many Song marches. Ooh, man, this is just so
this
back
Sky
and forth.
Altar defense is impressive. They just keep bringing troops in and keep bringing troops in and keep bringing troops in, marching them from far downfield just to get whatever they can into this altar and hold it for literally every second possible to get as many points as they can. And it works, man. And rally after rally gets sent home against this Sky Altar.
With basically 10 minutes until this arc is despawned, I guess, Song is in a bit of a rough position. They continue to lose their altars and some of the shrines as well every minute or two. And again, that's just hugely disrupting their points per minute. 580 versus 210 in favor of JST. And again, JST just continuing to hold this altar, although there is an Ethelfled garrison in there right now. So
Garrison
that's
must have popped.
to go down. There it goes. So that's
There it is.
helpful, but they lost their desert altar on the top lane now too. And JST continuing to push north towards that, towards where that arc is being held. Song conversely going after the Shrine of Life that they're supposed to have already to try and get that back, which they will do here in just a moment. That is now blue, and trying to push here on the Shrine of War on that same lane, and it looks very, very close, but just in time reinforcement from JST stops that from going down and going blue. The disruption is the key here. 380 points per minute versus 240 again in favor of JST. JST just getting everywhere they need to be in just the nick of time. Those reinforcements are very, very solid.
Yeah, feels like it's going to be a 2-arc game.
It definitely could be. And if that's the case, I think that favors JST. What do you think?
I mean, I think JST, I at the start of this match said they were going to win, and they were going to win by more than 4,000 points. So, yeah, I think it favors JST.
I mean, it's definitely favoring JST in my opinion for a couple reasons. One, I mean, right now the arc is out of the game at the moment, if you think about it. But JST is continuing to take Song buildings, whereas Song is not taking JST structures at nearly the clip that JST is taking Song structures. So that means to me they're going to win the structure game. It's going to come down to provisioning, and it's going to come down to who wins that last arc.
I do wonder, I mean, the backfield is somewhat cleaned up over here. So it is surprising to not see the offense by Song being quite as effective as you might expect on the outposts. But now the building game's evened up. 7 minutes, 52. They could just hold this arc for a while. Kind of let things stay even for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's even right now, but from a points per minute perspective, JST up by almost 300 points per minute because they've had those buildings longer. Song's still recovering, even though everything is even from a color standpoint. The points per minute tell a different tale, and JST about to likely take, or very close to taking, this Shrine of War on the bottom lane away from Song. This XY Nevsky doing a great job with heavy swarm from Guan, XY,
Yeah.
Nevsky, Honda. And then an Ethelfled there as well with Trajan behind for the buff and debuff. I mean, just solid play. Song is doing everything they can to keep their buildings. They have to stop this bleeding that's happening with their points per minute. Now only down by 60 points per minute is Song. That is helpful. I look to probably see Song capture this arc within the next couple minutes or so.
Remember when I said, wonder what that player is doing who ported forward? They've got all their marches here swarming, baby.
Yep.
So they are able to launch some really nasty attacks on the structures that are now closest to their city. And they can do it over and over. And also, man, that 92 million power player right next to their city is looking real juicy. I mean, I don't know. But if I was 181 right next to this 90, I'd swarm it out and make it waste a port. Or I'd swarm this obelisk. Just take it back. Why not? 5 marches.
Again.
Just drop them on there out of nowhere. Make him garrison this sucker. But who knows? Maybe he's already been doing that kind of all game. And he or she may have already accomplished what they needed to accomplish here, making them keep this garrisoned. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we continue to see the arc get harassed. It just got dropped again, but it was picked up by the same player, so the timer did not reset. But again, still getting harassed by the same Double C led Mark. Double C Attila. Interesting. Very interesting. So that harass is continuing, and it's actually holding up fairly strong on what is an XY Mehmed rally, or XY Mehmed march. And again, Sky Altar goes down in favor of JST. That player sitting on their side of the map is definitely making an impact on the rallies.
Hey, here he comes.
Altar. Yeah, just continuing to reinforce now that they have it.
Yeah, really close range. Just send all your marches. Here they come.
Yeah.
Oh,
Garrison
man.
would be down right now if that player wasn't there.
There it is. 1 march is in. Interesting that they are using an Ethel Trajan all cavalry, so foregoing the kind of mixed troops there just to have the Trajan go faster. I think that's kind of an interesting choice, don't you?
I think it's the right choice. I definitely think it's the right choice. That Xeno should and likely does have mixed in there, or at least it should. If it doesn't, it's no big deal. It's not that big of a deal, at least. And I mean, you're looking right now that I mean, the more I see this Sky Altar, the more I'm definitely of the belief that this Acro player that ported in over on this side is making the difference with this Sky Altar. If he wasn't there to reinforce, that altar would have gone down in favor of Song. But because he reinforced with 1 march, it gave the other 5, 6, 7 marches that were coming up from the bottom side where JST spawns in enough time to get those reinforcements
Captain Pop,
there.
though. Oh, okay. Just
Doesn't
kidding.
matter. They're just
we got a
continuing
Jad
to pour
here
in.
now.
Yep, they're just continuing to pour in. Wow.
They just hold on to this thing by the skin of their teeth, getting
such good
points
reinforcements
through the nose.
Such good reinforcements. It's so good to see. I mean, it's a clinic to see. You know, we saw this morning the 1V's middle fight, be a clinic on how to really take down a mid team. This is I mean, Song has been known to do such a good job on structures. This is another level. I think this is another just incredible. I mean, Song has just been swarming this for 5 minutes straight, and it's like Jadwig's like, nah, we're good.
It's hard to convince people to send reinforcement marches all the way downfield to an altar like this. But this is basically the textbook proof of exactly how and why to do that, because if you actually send your cavalry, they will get there, and then one person gets there and keeps it going, and another gets there, and another, and another. And it just seems like the thing that Song is somehow missing is enough damage, DPS, to actually burst the darn thing out so the reinforcements can't keep getting up there. This is all about surviving for as long as possible, not actually damaging the swarmers, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's evened up again ish. But this arc is still, it just got captured. I watched it just as it walked in.
There it
So
is.
arc
Yeah.
captured, still behind by 700-800 points is Song. So I mean, they're still down. And I gotta say, you know, as bad as it's been, right? I mean, this match has looked very heavily favored in the JST. Would you agree with that?
Maybe. Very, very heavily favored is weird. I would say JST is definitely controlling the building game. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the
which is the
score's
majority of the
nearly
game.
even.
That's what I'm saying. So that's kind of what I was getting to. So
Yeah.
dictating the pace of play, dictating what's happening on the map, I think JST has been the favored alliance right now. Looking at Song, very reactionary, very back foot, trying their best to desperately hold on to everything they've got. Conversely, JST is the one pushing the initiative, doing the work, right? Song, however, still within 900 points right now, and still down by 60 points per minute, by the way, is Song. This
I mean,
next arc is going
for
to be
the
critical.
amount of control it feels like JST has had, the score is still really close, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's just I don't believe how close this match is with how devastating JST has looked these past 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, this is why, like, it really takes a lot of building disruption to actually offset one arc of points.
Which
And
we just
JST has
saw.
achieved
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and slightly more, right? Because they're ahead by 1,000 points. But that's actually very, very, very difficult to accomplish. Wow.
It is, and I will say something to point out. Your teleport favorite earlier is now gone. He did teleport back onto his side.
No.
He left, so he's no longer there.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
He's
Drago,
no longer
swarm all
there.
the players, man. Swarm them all.
Now that did not stop them from taking that Sky Altar again. JST taking the Sky Altar in the bottom lane. Now let's see if they can hold it for as long as they did before. This is going to be the difference in my opinion. You've got reinforcements coming in. Well, 2 are turning around, so maybe they didn't expect to keep this, but I mean they're disrupting the points at least as JST. There is more reinforcements coming in, but it's not nearly as many as the usual. And then we're talking about, you know, what would have been coming in from that player that was at the obelisk on the bottom lane there. It's not there anymore. They're just not there. So I'm looking to see this Sky Altar go down a lot more quickly for Song than it did before.
Wow.
I think that player was definitely good to have back where it was.
You know, it's so hard to say, like, what the right call is, but I think I would like to think that a 90 million power player with like 5 marches out of their city, probably no proper captain, is really vulnerable. Make them port back, take the obelisk. I don't know, but I mean, if JST is making the call to pull that player back, then I mean, I would trust that judgment.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of good, so
yeah, I would trust they know what they're doing, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just, you know, trying to work out why it is they have made that call. And maybe it's because they want them to go and join this mid-fight from a safer position. Because here they are, positioning in front of the temple for the mid-fight.
You know, that's really exactly what it is. So they not only nullified the arc that was captured by Song at the very beginning, but what they also did was set them up for a very positive points per minute game going into, if they capture this, a very controlled last arc. And if they can keep that arc and they can continue to push the structure game like they have been over the last 15 minutes, that's a JST victory. That's exactly what they're looking for. Now, I will say, you can't count Song out even if they lose that arc, because their provision game is just so good. You have to figure that there's going to be 8K plus-ish of provisions coming in throughout the course of this match. Maybe 3,000 to 4,000 within the last few minutes.
Man, we got a Woo YSS garrison going on right now.
Woo!
Woo indeed. I'm a little bit speechless. I mean, this team theoretically has access to all the commanders they could want, right? So why are they using Woo?
Well, I mean, you got a Bertrand Nevsky rally here. Anti-skill damage is Wu, but that's not
I
really
guess.
that crazy. Wu is
I don't
technically
know.
considered anti-swarm, but again, 2 years old,
Yeah,
anti-swarm. But she's holding up. You have to look at it. She's holding up.
she is
I
holding
mean,
up.
you got the Xeno just kind of sitting here, either waiting to get in or,
Oh, true.
there's a Xeno sitting there.
I wonder if what's going on is that it's like the same player. Nope. They didn't have to swap out their march or any sort of shenanigans. I don't know. What I
Maybe
do
it's
know,
Pop
this is going to be a spicy
There it is.
mid-brawl. Woo.
Yeah, it is. JST pouring everything in the middle. And again, this is their game to control. I think this is their game to control. If they can win this arc, which they're positioning to do just that. Song, however, again, pouring everything into the middle. And if they have the same mid fight that they had last arc, then this could be very, very strong for Song. Still down by 1,300 points is Song, by the way. JST could control this though. If they capture the arc, they haul it back, and they continue to control the structure game, and not even just control, disrupt the structure game that Song has. This could be again down to the wire, last 5 seconds, who gets the last set of provisions in, that kind of thing.
It's a very close match. This is very exciting. If you're enjoying watching this match, drop some hype in the chat. Consider throwing a like onto the stream and subscribing. There goes the E-song emojis.
The incense emoji.
The incense emoji. It's kind of like Babe Ruth pointing downfield, right? And here
Look at
go.
this dance.
Yeah, there's JST. War drums activated. Now they are committing to this mid-fight. Mystical formation activated for JST. War drums for Song as well. This is going to be a big brawl. And will they use to the death? There it is. JST activating to the death.
Song
This is the full commit that we're looking for. Okay. Who
That's
wins
definitely all
this
the points.
brawl?
That's all the points. There's no Heaven's Grace coming.
There's no Heaven's Grace.
Ooh.
And even if there were, you couldn't
Ooh.
activate it while To the Death is active. To the Death nullifies all healing. So you wouldn't want to do that.
Well, you want to do it after it's over.
After is okay. You know, that heal, though, is based off of the total number of units that you have, because it's a healing factor. So it's not actually an amazing ability to use late into a mid-fight, I've found, because your healing is pretty substantially reduced.
You know what? JST is looking very strong here. Lots of Song marches going back with sad faces. This could be a huge blow to Song here.
Yeah. On the topic of substantially reduced, how about the quantity of Song marches? Yikes.
They still got something in there, but JST's already peeling. They're already peeling out. So many Song marches going home. That is devastating. JST putting the screws to
Oh my
Song
gosh.
in the middle.
I mean,
My
it's
goodness.
one-sided. Like zero JST marches have gone home, except the ones that are choosing to just walk. They're like, nah, we got this. We're done. See you later.
Yikes. So
This is over. Bye.
In the midst of that, Sky Altar on the top lane does get taken by Song, but again, that's definitely, that needs to be the start of something big from Song, because that was a huge victory for JST in the middle. Arc is available to capture, and it looks like JST is going to grab the first capture there. There it goes. He is peeling out of there with an almost dead double C march. There is a Song march sitting there waiting to hit him, but it won't be enough to slow them down too much. Does get taken down there, but Song they got absolutely wiped from the middle there. JST doing exactly what they needed to do, which was capture that arc, and that will again give them the opportunity to control the rest of the match.
Yeah, from one offensive strike to another, JST has swung around the back onto the Shrine of War, owned by Song. And that thing is dropping shockingly fast. I mean, in fairness, capacity of the Shrine of War is only 1 million. You could have a lot of troops swarming that Shrine of War. But
They are all almost dead, though.
they
I
are
think
almost
Song-
dead.
I think
Yeah.
Song's got that. I think
Yeah.
they'll keep that. But
For
again,
sure.
it's committing a lot of troops to do that. A lot of troops.
They
There's a lot
also
of skill
swung
damage
around
going.
the other way to the Desert Altar. I think to some extent it's just about resetting your troops.
Mhm.
And there's the Arc, although someone from Song is going to remind them that they're still here. Carrier swap underway, by the way. That's what you just saw happen there. Taking it to the caravan does make it so that the Arc drops, and then you could have somebody preferred pick it up.
We have an XY William march picking it up here. I'm curious as to the reasoning behind that. Maybe a little more tanky versus a double C primary or something.
I think it probably has more to do with the particular player they wanted to be holding it rather than the combo. That'd be my guess.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. That double C is definitely not going to do anything to that arc carrier. He's going to be just fine. Now, does Song make a play? And when I say make a play, I looked at the Shrine of War here on the top lane, and that's exactly what it looks like they're doing, while also getting their Desert Altar swarmed as well with a rally on it to boot. This is going to be dicey. This is going to be so dicey. Song does have the lead at the moment, and points per minute is very strongly in favor of Song. So this is exactly what they needed to do. They did disrupt the point total coming from the Sky Altar on the top lane. It is now red, but it's just started ticking points in favor of JST, now 120 points per minute in favor of Song.
Wow. Drago, this is a close game.
So less than 4,000 points, yeah?
It could be a less than 4,000 point game. But keep in mind, how many points is this arc worth? 3,500?
I mean, JST
4,000?
is so strong here.
There's a lot of points sitting on that arc. So it's going to bump up the score quite a bit. So it looks even now, but it's really not, as long as that arc actually gets scored and there aren't any shenanigans. Did both teams use to the death, by the way?
They did. They both used all the buffs. I think JST used it first, and that may have given them a little bit of an edge, but I mean, it was just such a solid beating that JST gave in the middle. And I'm looking at this arc carrier. I'm trying to figure out is he just taking the long way around? Like, he's right by his
think
outpost.
Maybe he's trying to stay away from this Shrine of War.
There's people taking
and all these
outposts.
marches. He is kind of alarmingly close to the outpost over here, but I think he's just trying to stay really far from this mess to not get caught up in that and have a catastrophe. So taking the longer route, and maybe that's a signal that they don't want to play for another arc here.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I mean, even if they wanted to, they'd have to capture it like right now.
That's right. I mean, if they captured it now, there's enough time to get another arc and maybe score it if they wanted.
But like right now, there's going to be a fight in the middle. You know, there's going to be a fight in the middle, and Song would throw everything they had to the middle to win that arc. So it would not be an instant capture. There'd be no way.
There is still 12 minutes and 30 seconds left to rack up building points. And
look at the arc carrier.
What's that?
Look at the arc carrier. Here comes a Chandra attacking the XY, and he has two blue structures around him.
Two wingmen.
Yep.
Swinging in here to cover. I think it's going to be okay.
That's exactly what they need. Yep.
And then he backs off. He's like, all right, well, you caught me. Red-handed.
Yep.
Trying to take cookies from the cookie jar. Turns it right around and says, I'll just go somewhere else.
Not worth it.
Not worth it. Not worth it.
Song
11 minutes, 50 seconds.
Yeah, Song holding up well on these structures right now.
There is Relentless Siege for JST.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
Last time we saw that. Well, last time we saw Relentless Siege get used, what happened? JST just went on a structure tear like I've never seen.
Look at this. What a bold provisioning play. What a bold provisioning play. I feel like this particular player has a lot of really good combat marches. So I find it somewhat surprising that they're already putting extra commitment to provisioning at this point. But I think this signals to us that they might be going for basically even trades on buildings. They score their arc, they do good provisioning, and they win, right?
They're gonna need to get everything that they can possibly get. It's still a 140 point per minute advantage to Song right now. Now, obviously, JST has the arc, but 3,500 points can get away from you very quickly, especially considering we're coming down to the provisioning time frames that we're going to be needing here. They're losing some buildings here and there. The outposts still playing a huge role in this matchup in favor of Song, in my opinion. Everything blinking right now. Man, there's so many things that need to happen for both of these teams to win. I mean, nothing is decided yet.
Yeah, with 10 minutes left, it's anybody's game. Recognizing, I know, that the arc is in the hands of JST, somehow Song is eking out a points per minute victory as they now pull ahead by almost 1,000 points. This is close.
So crazy.
It
Those
is
outposts
crazy.
do so much to disrupt the point flow of the game. I mean, JST looking dominant on the structure game throughout the entire match, but Song's still just getting enough. They just get enough to do what they need to do and be into the middle of the game. But JST heard me say that and say, okay, well, we're just going to take your Sky Altar on the bottom lane to try and disrupt that as well. So that's
Here
140.
we are with
150 points.
Wuzetian again.
I see a Julius Caesar in that Sky Altar. You're seeing the top one. I'm saying the bottom one.
Oh.
The bottom one that was taken by JST.
Oh. I'm looking at Wuzetian.
Yeah.
On the Sky Altar that belongs to JST on the JST side.
I mean, it's holding up.
It does hold up. Do they know something we don't know about, like, what to use here? Is Wuzetian meta and we all just missed it?
Know. They probably know a lot of things that we don't know. That's why they're, possibly going to the finals, and we're sitting here commentating.
Yeah, true. Oh my gosh, Drago, look at this.
Xeno Garrison in the bottom Sky Altar now for JST. Again, Relentless Siege doing some work, and Relentless Siege has kind of been the forgotten skill for the most part, with hard push being so prevalent, but Relentless Siege does some work. I mean, JST really taking advantage of that 50% extra counterattack damage for the rallies. Arc is captured. That is the last arc, and it's now a 2,400 point advantage for JST. They also have the points per minute total in their favor.
Drago, are you able to read for us what Relentless Siege does? I know a part of what it does is reduces the timer for the capture by 1 minute, which in and of itself is important. And now Song activating hard push. So everybody is using everything they've got in the building game, since there is definitely no more arcs to spawn.
Yeah, so I mean, Relentless Siege is basically hard push, but it has a 50% counterattack damage bonus.
For the rally.
For the rally, yes.
So it makes your rally less swarmable. I mean, that's not as much of an advantage as you might think, right? Like,
I think it is. Because not only that, but it does do extra damage to the rally structure. So counterattack damage, even though it's the only thing that goes out to things that are swarming it, it is still a factor on the white number going into the structure that you're rallying.
Yes. If the structure that you're rallying is targeting the march, then they will be taking the counterattack damage from it. So as long as it's not a swarmer that the structure is targeting, then the counterattack damage will be really relevant. That's definitely true. I mean, it's all about damage per second, right? Like,
correct.
You have to just push as much damage as you can.
Find as much as you can. That's what Relentless Siege does.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, 50% counterattack damage. It's
no joke.
It's actually kind of a lot.
It is. There's already bonuses inside of Arc of Osiris, and now you're talking about another 50%. Yes, please and thank you.
Yeah, that's actually like pretty significant.
Song takes the Sky Altar on top lane, by the way, and about to capture it. 5 seconds.
Let's see here. Isn't it 8%? I'm blanking on the name of the accessory now. The book that gives counterattack.
It's Greatest Glory.
Greatest Glory.
I'm sorry, Vengeance.
Vengeance. That's the one. Yeah. It's like slapping a bunch of Vengeances onto your rally.
Yeah, give me five, 6 Vengeances, please.
6 Vengeances? Seems pretty
Obelisk
decent.
Down, top lane as well. 30 seconds until it captures, by the way, for Song. They poured in.
This game is too close.
I'm telling you, this is going to come down to the wire. I mean, they've already captured.
You're right. You're probably right that this is a less than 4,000 point game.
Oh, 100%.
I wasn't expecting that, but I think that matches are often a lot closer when there are fewer arcs contested.
Look at the points per minute as well in favor of Song.
So given that this is only a 2-arc game, I think that it does make sense that it's a bit closer. And
huge.
JST gets their altar back, but they lost their obelisk.
And Insatiable
Do they care now? I guess they care about the points per minute.
Every point is going to count. Every point.
It's not nothing, right? 20 points per minute. I guess you take whatever you can get.
Hey, there's still 5 minutes left. There's a lot of points to be generated.
It's 100 points.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to come down to some not a large sum of points is going to win this match. Ethelfled surprisingly strong, by the way, inside of that obelisk on the top lane.
It's got to be a Trajan secondary is why.
And there was a port in, by the way. Song ported in a
no way. I want to watch that. Let's go. That's the thing I've been wanting.
At the
Go
Outpost. Baby.
Swarm. Oh, no, he's not. Okay, interesting choice. Sending his archers to go walk his way over here.
Farmers.
You know,
He's
the
killing
thing is,
provisioners. That's exactly
if
what
this
he needs to do.
farmer does not realize that they're about to get hit,
oh, that would be a disaster.
it would be a disaster. Now, the reason this is a disaster is that if your march dies while it's in the caravan, then you lose all of the rewards of caravanning. But
Still
if you
indestructible.
die outside of the
there
caravan,
it goes.
as you see here, then, wait, what are they doing? Hard to say.
They're back in.
Okay.
He's trying to remove himself whenever the skill damage comes in.
I
So
guess
he doesn't
so.
take the skill damage, is what he's doing. But he's still taking more damage than he's putting out.
I
But
mean, have you ever seen a Joan of Arc do so well
I mean,
against Neb Esong? Because that's impressive.
it's a Jones Sundiak, I believe, is what
Look
that
at those
is.
T5 Siege, baby.
I mean,
Woo!
looking strong. Those trebs.
Looking real strong.
Look at all that disruption, though. Look at the disruption that one player is causing to the entire farming core of
Yeah.
JST on that top
Yeah.
lane. That is huge. That is
That's
invaluable.
why I was so surprised that player that ported forward for JST, like, ultimately decided he was better off leaving. I just find that really surprising.
Yeah, nobody's
Doesn't mean
won
I'm
this match
right.
yet.
I'm just saying it's surprising.
Yeah, nobody's won this match yet. JST continuing to try and harass us however they can. You've got, again, an outpost down on the Song side that is now, ticking points for JST. That's helpful. Points per minutes wise right now, it's a 60-point game in favor of JST right now, which is exactly what they need because they've already captured their arc. It's a 2,600-point game now in favor of JST. Some provisions are starting to come in, and I think a lot of that has to do with the disruption that port-in player for Song is doing. He's just stopping everybody from farming. This is a big deal. This could come down the last minute. It could be missing some things.
It's a big deal, but also it's only the last few minutes. I think if he catches someone who's been provisioning literally all game and actually kills their provisioning march, that would be a tragedy for JST, but I think that's so unlikely that a dedicated provisions player would get caught out that way. So with only 3 minutes left, like, I get that it's disruptive, but I don't know that it's disruptive enough at this stage.
I think it's disruptive enough. I mean, every second you're not farming those nodes is points off of your total. Right now, it's a 3,100-point game in favor of JST, but points per minute wise is now back in favor of Song with the Shrine of War being captured on the top lane. There's a Guan that almost took out a Sundiak March inside the node. They're just farming as much as they can until they're down into the red, and then they're peeling back. So they're not losing anything, but they're losing, like right now, that Sundiak March
3,000-point game
should be actually farming. So I'm looking to see some big points coming in for Song here in the next minute or so. 2 minutes left.
Provisioners seem to be kicking in for JST a little early. That could be because of the pressure that you were describing earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now a 4,000-point game in favor of JST. Big provisions coming in here. Do you think Song is going to have the provisions to match?
They're going to have to. I mean, they're down by 3,500, almost 4,000 points now.
Ooh,
There's a
4,000 points. That sounds like a magic number. Somebody made a little wager that it might be that much of a spread here.
Minute 30 left. There's a Joan March on the very top of the map being swarmed by Pororo inside the node. It's dangerously close from going down. It needs to peel back anyway to bring those provisions back. Oh no, is it going to die inside it's going to die inside. It's so close. Oh, he popped out last second. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he's really milking it for provisions, man. Get every provision you can.
Now it's a 3,600-point match. Less than a minute to go. Final call for all provisioners to get your butts home with all of those points.
This is it. I am inclined to believe that due to the lack of backfield pressure against Song, that all their provisions are home yet. In fact, I think that they'll all come in now. So let's see the score pop up, presumably.
I mean, oh my God. I'm sitting here. I think we're all, you, myself, and certainly everybody in the chat is just sitting here staring at the point total. Now a 3,300-point match.
Yeah.
20 seconds left. Oh no, here it comes. 35,300. It's a 3,000-point match now. Is there more coming for
I don't
Song?
know that there is.
10 seconds left.
This,
It might not
to
be
me, it
enough.
looks like a big JST victory.
It does. 5 seconds left. 2,900 points. 4,000 points. JST.
There it is.
On the dot.
There it is.
Wow.
Good game, well played by Song and JST. Congratulations to them both for advancing so far into the tournament. However, JST is victorious. They've got the occupation score, and they've got the provision score, and they've got an ever so slight arc score. So they actually won on all 3 ways in which you can score points in this game mode. And perhaps most importantly, they were quite literally killing it in the open field. A 7 million kill advantage in favor of JST, I think, signals how effective they ultimately were. And although both sides ended up getting a teleport forward to the opposing side, that ended up not being a deciding factor.
I'm just looking at this, and again, they just won all 3 phases of the game by a little bit, and that's a recipe for victory. So JST, again, I will point out, less than 4,000 points is the victory delta here. So it's like 3,900 and some change. But 90 million kills. Again, we saw that last match with 1v against BG. JST, huge victory here. I think we all were expecting Song to put up just a little bit more on the provisioning side, but maybe they had to do less provisioning earlier in the match to counter JST's hard pushes with those relentless siege, no pun intended, being used throughout that match. Maybe there were some provisioning marches that should have been provisioning, but were instead trying to reinforce and defend structures. That could easily be the case here, but 7,700 points provisioning for JST, exactly what they needed to take the win. Huge match. Both these teams deserve to be in the finals, really. In fact, we could have easily just watched the finals and been perfectly happy. Would you agree?
Yeah, that was an amazing match. It was really close. It was hard to say what was going to happen. I mean, I think you were right on the point spread, and I was right on who ultimately would end up being victorious here.
We're both right. That's all I hear.
Everybody wins today. Wow. JST advances. Song, however, despite not advancing, still gets the 6 city theme, offering training speed. So big rewards for everybody here. Again, congratulations to both teams. And we're going to jump back into the casters booth in just a second here. But allow me to remind you that if you've been enjoying this live stream today, we'll be back next week for casting the finals. And also consider subscribing to this channel. And also Drago and I have dedicated channels linked down below in the description. Let's jump back to the dual cast and debrief on this matchup. Okay, man. There it is. It's going to be huge. JST versus 1v in the finals. Okay. So I'm hyped for this. And but I don't want to predict too much what's going to happen in the future, because we're going to talk about it in the next stream where we cover those finals. But what do you think was kind of the hallmark of today's matchup? I mean, it's unusual to see a team barely win on all 3 aspects in which you can score points, but that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, it is. And when we're watching JST throughout the match, I kept bringing up that JST just really seemed to have control of that match, which is, again, surprising for a team like Song that we've seen these last 3 to 4 weeks absolutely dominate their opponents. And even when they weren't dominating, they were still kind of dominating at the end, and pulled off some really significant plays. So JST just showing why they're a previous champion and why they're still going to go to the finals here, be facing 1v. That's going to be such a great finals. It's going to be incredible.
It is.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait.
You're not going to want to miss it. Subscribe to the channel so that you can see that. Also, I'm sure that it'll pop up in games so you can jump right into the cast as you do every single week to join us. We're excited to be here with you next week. Again, our channels are linked below in the description. You can go check them out. Throw a like onto this stream if you've enjoyed it. I'm going to wrap things up here, Drago. Last chance. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. It's good.
You're good? I'm good. Congratulations again, JST. And until next time, you have fun. smashing your enemies. We'll see you for Ark of Osiris League here again on the channel next week.